So, I'm going to say something very interesting today. I heard a couple of things from different places. One of the sources that I got, which I very much admire, is Rabbi Schaefer. He said a beautiful shiur, and I'm going to kind of mix it up a little bit with some other things that I've seen and heard. So Sarah was barren. She was barren. She couldn't have kids for many years. Now, she says to Abraham, quote unquote, she says, "Take my maidservant, maybe I will build through her." Now, she says, maybe I will build through her. If anything, Abraham is building through her, not Sarah is building through her. Because she's giving her maidservant. She's not building through her anything. So now we're going to go into a little bit. I'm gonna go into this, and then I'm going to jump, and then I'm going to finish, and you guys are going to see how beautiful. Just pay attention over here, please, and try to connect things. So Sarah, it says, Sforno says that maybe the jealousy will bring potential to actual. He's explaining why it says specifically, I will bring through her. I will build through her. So, meaning, if Abraham marries Hagar and has a child, clearly Sarah will be very, very jealous. Any woman would be. So Sarah is saying, maybe that jealousy will be sufficient to awaken within me the drive, the extra motivation. She needed extra motivation. Now, Sarah basically gave Hagar to Abraham to be jealous of her. There's two rather obvious problems over here. There's two rather obvious problems. The first problem is that with the Sforno, it's hard to imagine a more motivated woman than Sarah. Any woman wants to have a child, especially a woman that can't have a child for so many years. So she knew that Abraham was supposed to be the father of the Jewish nation, and being Abraham's wife, she felt like she was entitled to that title of one of the Imaot, and it's kind of she's going against herself by giving Hagar to Abraham. Now we understand that she's greatly motivated to have a child. Why does she need more motivation? So Sarah is really saying that I'm not worthy enough. And this is a key point over here. I'm not on the level to have Yitzchak. She says I'm not on the level to have Yitzchak. Being the mother of the Jewish nation is a very high level, and I'm not there yet. So the second problem is she's engaging in something that will cause the opposite effect. So jealousy is obviously not a midah tova. It's a bad trait that we're told to stay away from jealousy. In certain cases it's good, but this is not one of them. So she's engaging in so-called dirty tactics, but she's awakening the bad midah of jealousy within her, and it may make her want the child more, but it's not going to make her level higher, which is what she's trying to do. She's trying to get her level higher. She says, I can't, Yitzchak, I'm not worthy of Yitzchak, but instead of, it kind of sounds like it's counterproductive. So now we're going to go into that a little bit. There's 4 areas of life that require strengthening. It says this in Brachot 32b. 4 areas of life that require strengthening. You need motivation to keep going at it. The first thing is Torah. As you know, a person is not automatically motivated to learn Torah. We have to always be strengthening ourselves to learn Torah. Ma'asim tovim, good deeds. Good deeds are also, chesed is counterintuitive. Chesed is counterintuitive. We have to work on ourselves to do chesed. Tefillah, prayer also. Prayer, this is the third thing that we have. Every time we pray, we have to always come in there. It's like it becomes very repetitive. We pray 3 times a day, and it's the highest level prayer that we have. And we're coming in there as if like it's just another day. So tefillah is also something we have to work on. Now the fourth thing is something that sounds a little bit interesting, because the fourth thing is derech eretz, and Rashi explains derech eretz as making a living. Rashi explains derech eretz as making a living. Now, it kind of doesn't make sense, because Rashi explains that if a craftsman or a merchant, he has to strengthen himself to work hard. Now, at the end of the day, if you don't make a living, you're going to have a lot of trouble, you're going to be cold, you're going to be hungry, people are going to look down at you. If anything doesn't need strengthening, it's making a living. We agree? If anything doesn't need strengthening, it's making a living. So this is kind of an interesting way Rashi is bringing up over here. Now, oftentimes, a guy who is lazy in one area of his life is lazy in other areas of his life also. If he doesn't have the chizuk to get up and daven, then he doesn't have the chizuk to go up and work. Because how you do anything is how you do everything. Very powerful saying, by the way. How you do anything is how you do everything. So, he'll show up to work only because he has to. If he doesn't show up, he's going to get fired. He's not driven, not motivated. He's not looking for the next sale. Now, in the wild kingdom, you won't find anything like that. In the wild kingdom, you won't find anything like that. The honeybee goes from flower to flower, collecting nectar. It goes from flower to flower, collecting nectar, taking it back home and going back again, so on and so forth. And the reason they work so hard is because the nectar is mostly made out of water. Now, they have to work 10 hours in order to create a thimble of honey. A thimble is basically like the tip of my finger. It's like nothing. 10 hours they have to work just to create a thimble of honey. The queen bee is also, you think the queen bee, she's the queen. No, the queen bee is over there. She has the ability to lay 1,500 eggs a day. So, everybody's working. Whether you're a queen or you're not, you're working in the animal kingdom. The ant is working morning to night. If you guys know about ants, they move per square mile. They move 50 tons per year per square mile. That's a lot of, I don't know if construction workers do that much. But these guys are very, very hard-working people. Hard-working ants. So the cougar, the tiger, they're all motivated, they're all driven, they're all going forward. Now, Hashem gave person free choice. Bechira, He gave person free choice. Now, we could wake up in the morning and say, I'm not in the mood to go to Nitz. I'm not in the mood to go to work. You could say that, right?
I stay in the bed all day.
What was that?
I stay in the bed, right?
Stay in the bed. So you'll never see that in the animal kingdom. A person has free choice. The animals, they're always motivated. Now, because we have free choice, we're on a high level as well. Lucille Ball, if you guys know who Lucille Ball was in that movie, that show I Love Lucy, she became a very, very big actress, but she says something very, very nice. And there's a lot of truth in what she says. She says that if you want to get something done, you give it to a busy person. Sounds funny, right? You want to get something done, you give it to somebody that's not doing anything, and you'll get it done. No. You want to get something done, you give it to a busy person. Because a busy person, he'll find time in his schedule. He's not going to be able to do anything. You want to get something done, you give it to a busy. There's a lot of truth in that. So Sarah was obviously very motivated. But like all humans, there are times when we're motivated less, sometimes more. So she felt like she wasn't motivated because it was like so many years she didn't have children. She felt like she wasn't as motivated as she should be. So she realized that she needed the chizuk. Now, Misilat Yesharim, if you guys know this book, it's a very famous book. Misilat Yesharim gave methods to motivate yourself. It gave methods to motivate yourself. Different methods for different people. A method for the common person, we're talking about common people over here, is a method of, it's a system of kavod, a system of respect. Now, many people say, listen, I'm good. I'm trying. I do what I can. If I'm not going to get the front row in Gan Eden, if I'm not going to get the front row in Gan Eden, I'll get the back row. Sure, no problem. What's the big deal? Right? You hear that a lot. Misilat Yesharim says that if you understand that one fact, that there are standards. There are standards. And then if you don't work at it, you're going to be substandard. And Rav Schaefer actually goes into very nice detail about this. I'm not going to go into this today because we don't have so much time. But he goes into very nice detail about substandards and standards. And at some point in life, currency will change. Currency will change. What's currency? Currency is it's a tender, what you exchange. So at some point it will change. When we leave this world, the currency will change dramatically. We will be viewing people in a whole new currency. We will be viewing people in a whole new currency. Now, if we don't wake up now, you'll be looking at your counterparts, which are your friends, with a jealous eye. And we're going to be looking at and that's going to be the reality for eternity. If you ask yourself, what am I going to look like when I check out of this planet? My money, I'm not taking with me. My clothes, my clever lines, nothing we're taking with us, right? So, it's who you are as a human being that will make the difference. The currency that the tender at that time will be your Gimilut Chasadim, your Torah that you set aside to learn. And I'm not saying over here, guys, that the Torah that you learned, it's the Torah that you set aside time to learn. That will be also tender. That's a huge tender right there. Because a lot of people, unfortunately, they're not setting aside time. When I get to it, front row, back row, they don't care. When I get to it, Chudochad one day, when I get my mansion on 110th Street, maybe at that time I'll learn something. But at that time, it may be too late. So, So what you get by achieving your goals is not as important as what you become by achieving your goals. The person that you become by achieving your goals. Zig Ziglar actually says this. I was into all these things, as you guys know, so I'm quoting the other side as well. A lot of people get influenced by the other side. They have a lot of good things, and probably they took all their things from the Torah, most likely. So Sarah was a great and holy woman, but she was not quite there yet, correct? Now, Sarah knew that she needed the jealousy to get her to the next level. If you look at Likutei Moharan, the Rav Nachman of Breslov, he has in his book, he writes over there that sometimes he would take one step back in order to take two steps forward. This is exactly what's happening here right now. Exactly what's happening here right now. Sarah is taking one step back in order to take two steps forward. Now, Bill Gates says something very nice. Something similar to this. He says that there's a fine line between fishing and standing on the shore like an idiot. And the reason why I say that is because if we use jealousy to a certain extent and we don't, or any type of bad midah, and we take one step back, hopefully it won't take you 5 steps back. So there's a fine line over there. You just have to be very careful. But if you know how to use it, you can get to much greater heights. Now, what's the real reason the guy is lazy and he doesn't want to go to work? What's the real reason? So the real reason is he's not motivated. Is that correct? He's not motivated. It's because he doesn't see the results of his actions. Rabbi Schaefer says something very nice over here. He says he doesn't see him being thrown on the street corner when he's evicted. And he doesn't see the reality. If the guy saw that he's not paying his rent, and in a month from now he's going to be on the corner, and he would already take action, and he would be motivated at that time. But the fact that he doesn't see it, it doesn't trigger anything within him. Now I have a beautiful story over here about this. There was a swimmer by the name of Florence May Chadwick on July 4th, 1952. She set a goal to be the first woman to swim 26 miles between Catalina Island and California coast. There's a 26-mile spread over there. She wanted to be the first woman to do this. As she began her historic journey, she was flanked by small boats that was next to her because there were sharks and they were prepared to help her if she got hurt. And she grew tired. Hour after hour, she swam. And however, after 15 hours, a thick fog set in. There was a thick fog over there. In California, they have a lot of that. A thick fog set in, and the fog was so thick that she could hardly see her people in the boat next to her. There's a boat, and so Florence began to doubt her ability. She told her mother, who was in one of the boats, "I don't think I'm going to make it." And her mother and her trainer continued to offer encouragement that, like, yeah, you can do it. It's not much further. You're only 1 mile away. You already went 25 miles. You're only 1 mile away. You can do it. But she saw the fog, and she quit. And this was the first time she ever quit. Until then, she never quit before. This is the first time she quits. So Florence explained that she quit because she could not see the coastline. It was too much fog. She couldn't see the coastline. Even though she was just 1 mile away, she couldn't see the end result. And she quit. Now, it wasn't the cold, it wasn't the fear, it wasn't the exhaustion. It was the fog. So she could not see her goal. Many times we too fail, not because we're afraid or because of anything other than the fact that we lose sight of our goal. The proof that she couldn't see the land and she mentally lost it, the proof is 2 months later, Florence gets back into the water to try her task once more. This time was different. She swam from Catalina Island to the shore of California in a straight path for 26 miles. The same thick fog sets in, but Florence made it because she had that mental image in her mind. She planted that mental image. She's like, this time, no matter what, I'm planting that mental image in my mind and I'm getting to my destination. Due to the fact that she had that mental image in her mind and she could see the destination, she did what she had to do. Now, Helen Keller, if you guys know who Helen Keller is, she's a very, very famous lady that was unfortunately blind, deaf, and mute. She couldn't hear, speak, or talk. She couldn't hear, speak, and see. It's very good, thank you. So she had amazing achievements, and she said something very, very nice. And she says, the only thing worse than being blind is having sight, but no vision. Having sight, but no vision. You guys hear this? Think about it when you watch the video. So, if you picture this, if you picture this, when you went to school, right? You went to school with a couple of guys. I had a guy actually I was talking to a couple of weeks ago, and he tells me, Buharinkin, he comes up to me and he tells me, he's like, he tells me about Rabbi Akilov and his brother. I was in the same class as them. He's like, look at where they are right now and look at where I am right now. This guy doesn't pray, doesn't do anything basically. He's like, once in a while he goes to shul, I think Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, but that drive inside of him when he sees his friends at that high level, it kicks in. It kicks in. Unfortunately, he doesn't do anything about it. But the person that knows what to do, they would do something about it at that time. Now, there are three types of people. There's the person who makes things happen. There's the person who watches things happen. And then there's the person who wonders what happened. He's just like thinking, oh, what just happened? Like all of a sudden, like the train passes by and he didn't even realize. He's just wondering. And you see this many, many times. You see this all the time. So hopefully we're going to be the people that make things happen. So this is also another reason that we do a Siyum. Because you see your fellow counterparts and you could have been just like them. You could have been doing the Siyum just like my friend Eitan Alishayev right here. Well, I'm proud of you. So Sarah was saying that when I see my maidservant Hagar have a child, it will make me jealous and will drive me. However, you may say, that doesn't seem very holy. Right? It doesn't seem very holy. One of our mothers, foremothers, is going into so-called dirty taxes. It doesn't seem very holy. You may say that, right? Rabbi Schaefer says that he came to his Rebbe and he says, Rebbe, I'm not learning Lishma. I'm not doing it because I want to learn Torah. I'm doing it because, I want to be the best guy in yeshiva. I'm not doing it because I want to learn Torah. And his Rebbe tells him something to his surprise. He tells him something to his surprise. And he says, the Satan wants us to learn Lishma. Only Satan wants us to learn for the sake of learning. So it sounds good, it sounds pure, you sound like a tzaddik, yeah. But there's no firepower, there's no motivation in learning Lishma, which is what we do, what we're talking about over here. I was in Rabbi Bloom's shul one time and he gave a lecture. He says, you have to know how to trick the Satan sometimes. He says, you have to know how to trick, you have to use him to your advantage. This is exactly what's going on over here, guys. So, motivation is something that needs chizuk. You must keep yourself motivated. It will increase, it will decrease. Now, Zig Ziglar, which is a very, very famous guy, Zig Ziglar in the whole motivational world, and he has a lot of things on motivation also. When people say to him, Zig, my motivation doesn't last, right? People say that, my motivation doesn't last. He says, bathing doesn't either. That's why I could recommend it daily. You guys hear this? Bathing doesn't either. That's why I recommend it daily. Something we have to keep working on. Now, if you ever watch a football game, they do things that seem amazing. They can fly in the air, they can fall down, bounce back up as if nothing happened. It almost looks supernatural. If they're so motivated that they do things beyond the norm. If you want to see people who are motivated, watch Olympic athletes. And we're going to conclude soon. Watch Olympic athletes. It's funny, I know. So, the typical gymnast will do their flips and routines at least 20,000 times. The typical swimmer will swim at least 250,000 laps. You guys hear this? The average marathon runner runs 160 miles a week at 10 miles per hour. Olympic athletes have one thing in common. What do they have in common? Olympic athletes have one thing in common. They all engage in how to stay motivated. Because they know that the motivation drops, and they all engage in how to stay motivated. So, I'm going to conclude right here. Hernan Cortez, which was the Spanish conqueror of Mexico. He was a Spanish conqueror of Mexico. He landed in February 1519. The year 1519, he landed with a force of only 600 men and 20 horses. He had only 600 men and he's trying to conquer Mexico. With his very small army, he planned to conquer all of Mexico, which was ruled by the Aztecs at that time. They were a very powerful dynasty and a fighting force. He recognized there was a great feat ahead of him. When he landed, he did something amazing. He told his troops, burn the ships. Only 600 guys and 20 horses. He says, burn the ships. When they burned the ships, he and they both realized either we either do this or we're all dead. Like there's no turning back. So with that drive, they conquered the Aztecs, totally vanquished them. Within a few short months, he conquered and ruled over 5 million people and the entire land. Ruled over 5 million people. So oftentimes, the difference between success and mediocrity is a lack of drive and motivation. It's oftentimes a lack of drive and motivation. So, as you guys know how I finish my things, education without application is worse than worthless. What's education without application? If you're learning something and you don't apply it, it's worse than worthless. You guys are sitting here, if you guys don't apply what you learn, it's better that you guys don't come. So hopefully, with what I have said and what the rabbi has said, and what the Haggai and Yosef has said, it will penetrate your ears and hopefully it will hit the heart and you guys will be motivated and you guys continue. It's a great time before Rosh HaShana to get motivated. We have a lot of things that we want to ask for. We have a lot of things that we want to get to. We have a lot of destinations. We have a lot of goals that we want to achieve. This is the perfect time for motivation. Don't take it just one ear and out the other. Take it to heart, guys. And may we merit to see your next Siyum, see your next Siyum, Gemara, Chumash, Navi, and may we have everything that we want, everything that you need. Amen.